When I think of canoeing, I usually think of beautiful summer days and serene landscapes. But on my recent winter trip to Quebec City, I discovered there was a much wilder winter version: ice canoeing. After seeing it in person, I was really intrigued and started digging more into where this sport comes from, and the history is really fascinating. When the French began to colonize what is now known as Quebec, the St. Lawrence River was absolutely vital to them. Its easy flow from the ocean to the interior made it strategically valuable for both trade and navigation. Because of this, the French built their major settlements along the river on both sides. In those early days, ice canoeing was not a sport, but a necessity. When the winters turn to freezing temperatures, the St. Lawrence doesn't freeze over. Instead, massive flows of sea ice drift along with the fast-moving current, interspersed with stretches of open water. In those days, canoes were the only method of transporting mail, supplies, and people across the river year-round, including in the winter. This meant that the ability to traverse the river in the icy winter days became a valuable skill that was absolutely necessary. Particularly for the major settlement of Quebec City and its sister city across the river, Lévis. The risk of hypothermia, drowning, or injuries from the sharp ice made this a dangerous and difficult job, and fatal accidents were not uncommon. It's worth remembering that the canoe itself is an indigenous innovation. Long before European settlers arrived, First Nations used birch bark canoes to navigate the interconnected rivers and lakes of the region. The lightweight but durable design made it possible to portage across long distances and was perfectly suited to the Canadian landscape. These were later adopted by European settlers due to the advantages in navigation and trade. Though ice canoeing was a necessity for hundreds of years, by the late 1800s the practical need for ice canoes started to fade with the advent of steamships and vessels that could break through the ice. In 1894, the first Quebec Winter Carnival was held as a way to promote and preserve Québécois culture, which included an ice palace, ice masquerade, and the first organized ice canoe race. This would be the birth of ice canoeing as a sport. In the years following, the carnival was held intermittently until the Great Depression hit and stopped it completely. In 1955, after the Second World War, when the carnival was brought back as a yearly event, so was the ice canoe race. Today, this extreme and uniquely Canadian winter sport is still going strong, with a 6-race circuit that takes place in various cities along the St. Lawrence. The only place ice canoeing can truly be done is the St. Lawrence itself. Because the river flows directly into the ocean, it's what the French call a fleuve, a tidal river. When you combine that with Quebec's harsh winter cold and the shifting ice from the Atlantic, you get conditions found nowhere else on Earth. Last year, I was at the Carnaval d'hiver and had a chance to watch the race in person. The race course runs from the Quebec City side across to Lévis and then loops back to the starting point. There were 54 teams competing in the 4 different categories, which was way more than I expected, especially since this is a really difficult sport to train for. Since the teams are fighting against both the ice and the current, this is a huge test of endurance for the racers. Every time a crew got stuck on the ice and needed to get out and push, they would lose precious distance as the current carried them further and further from the goal. Some teams even fell so far behind that I never saw them again. I'm hoping there was a rescue waiting further downstream to scoop them up. But whenever one of these struggling groups managed to claw their way back, the crowd cheered them on even harder. As much as this was a race, it really felt like a community event where the spectators just wanted everyone to succeed. Despite the biting cold, I stayed far longer than I expected. I was so caught up in the atmosphere and the drama of the sport that I just couldn't look away. I hadn't known anything about ice canoeing before attending the race, and seeing it in person revealed just how deeply it ties together so many threads of Quebec's history. From the indigenous roots of the canoe, to Quebec's colonial past on the St. Lawrence, to its reinvention as a modern sport that still brings people together. It's one of those traditions that could only exist here, shaped by this river and this landscape. I've heard that some companies offer experiences where you can gear up and try ice canoeing yourself, which is something I would love to do one day. For me, watching the race was the perfect reminder of what Carnaval d'hiver is all about. That winter in Quebec is something to celebrate.